How to beat social anxiety in 4 steps. Anna doesn't prefer to recollect her time in secondary school. Talking before the entire class, bunch tasks, being called upon, these are the circumstances where Anna needed to confront her greatest dread, being adversely assessed by others. The simple considered being the focal point of consideration, with every one of her cohort's eyes on her, actually makes her heart race. She portrays that all she needs at these times is to evaporate like a phantom. What Anna portrays are indications of social fear. Social fear, or social uneasiness, is an extremely regular marvel. It is substantially more typical than the vast majority would think. About 12% of individuals experience social uneasiness sooner or later in their lives. Those influenced stress unnecessarily over pessimistic judgment from others, and live in steady dread of humiliating themselves. A large number of them experience difficulty talking before swarms, or in any case being the focal point of consideration, or making companions. An endless loop starts. The more those influenced segregate themselves and maintain a strategic distance from the social circumstances that they dread, the greater that dread develops. This is on the grounds that pulling back denies them of any possibility of encountering positive social communications and attesting their social abilities. And afterward they will in general view the non-appearance of dread as verification that social disengagement is the awesome best way to manage their circumstance and lessen their dread. Anna has encountered tormenting in secondary school, which persuaded that, I am insufficient, and I am not a commendable individual. Also, this made her draw back and try not to cause any to notice herself. She diminished cooperations with her colleagues to a base because of a paranoid fear of humiliation, which she had encountered on account of the domineering jerks. In this way, she never truly made companions and consistently felt like a pariah. Yet, that is not how this story needs to go for you, or for anybody that is influenced. At the center, what's most significant is to change our own profoundly established musings and convictions. 4 stages can help conquer social nervousness. Comprehend and beat the main driver. Mental examination has recognized a few danger factors that play together in the advancement of social tension. Here are a few instances of the most widely recognized variables. Hereditary inclinations, heredity. Model learning. If guardians are socially restless, youngsters notice their conduct and decipher it as a conduct standard, and will copy it. Character characteristics, e.g., modesty and dread of new circumstances. Certain reasoning styles, e.g., negative mental self-view, disastrous dreams about the results of one's conduct, hair-splitting. Guardians with a fairly dispassionate, however controlling and overprotective nurturing style. Terrible encounters with others, e.g., being chuckled at, embarrassed, or rejected by others. Upsetting life occasions, e.g., tormenting, the passing of a friend or family member, or a separation. Unreasonable spotlight on oneself and one's actual indications, e.g., reddening, in this way compounding these actual manifestations. Intermittently, a connection of a few of these elements in blend with at least one key occasions are liable for the improvement of social fear. Key occasions are frequently minutes when those influenced have been freely disgraced or humiliated. Tormenting is among the most widely recognized triggers, frequently happening in youth or puberty. Once more, an endless loop can grow. Once a social circumstance turns out badly and is capable as profoundly upsetting, we attempt to maintain a strategic distance from such circumstances later on. For instance, if a youngster is prodded in the wake of offering an off-base response at school, the individual is more averse to make some noise again sometime later. Be that as it may, the more we really figure out how to stay away from such circumstances, the more troublesome it becomes to lessen the dread once more. The manner in which this could happen is through certain social encounters, for example, affirmation of one's own capability by others. Assuming, in any case, we don't place ourselves in circumstances in which others could assess our ability, we deny ourselves of this chance, and the dread will in general increment instead of reduction. Utilizing the case of the school youngster, in the most pessimistic scenario, the non-appearance of prodding in the wake of choosing to quit contributing in class is taken as proof of the suitability of this conduct. Subsequently, now and again, a kid grows up to turn out to be increasingly more socially removed. This is only one model. There are a few attempted and tried inquiries, methods and activities for recognizing key individual occasions in psychotherapy. 2. Reconstruct the inner critic. The normal individual ponders 50,000 musings each day. Have you ever considered which portion of these contemplations is positive and which is negative? What's more, perhaps additionally, what impact every one of these contemplations have on your prosperity and your life? We as a whole have this voice in our mind that, in the event that we focus on it, addresses us practically throughout the day. It very well may be useful and help us to remember things like, you needed to go shopping for food. However, all the time this voice addresses us in a negative manner. This is the thing that we call the inner critic. The inner critic makes statements like, you will not prevail in this, don't try attempting, or, gracious dear, for what reason did you do that now? Normally, this inward voice addresses us in a more basic manner than any genuine individual actually would, not to mention a companion. Furthermore, for individuals with social nervousness, this voice is particularly noisy and basic. They frequently have considerations experiencing their heads like, others will believe I'm exhausting or abnormal in the event that I say something now. Be that as it may, on the off chance that I don't utter a word, they'll additionally believe I'm exhausting. What am I expected to do? The inner critic is likewise a major fanatic of speculations. Everybody will chuckle at me, or, nobody discovers me fascinating, are its #1 expressions. A significant advance in beating social uneasiness, in this manner, is to figure out how to get the inner critic before we give a lot of trustworthiness to its words, and to be mindful so as to talk all the more sympathetic to ourselves. Social phobics advantage significantly from figuring out how to counter this voice with a foe, self-compassion or the inward friend. This produces an option inner discourse that directs the dread reaction as opposed to proceeding to fuel it. What's extraordinarily useful in this cycle is utilizing supposed positive insistences. Attestations are center convictions or authoritative opinions, i.e., sentences that impact our inner mind. A positive attestation is a self-asserting expression that we advise ourselves again and again to reconstruct our contemplations. The objective here is to for all time change our conduct and emotions. This works since contemplations, emotions and activities are interrelated. In the event that we figure out how to forever change our contemplations through assertions, at that point inevitably our conduct likewise changes, and even our emotions follow after accordingly. For social phobics, chipping away at their own confidence is regularly best here. This implies recognizing positive convictions that expect to support one's confidence, which thus diminishes tension. Models include: I'm acceptable the manner in which I am. I see that I am well known. I set out to act naturally, increasingly more consistently. Nonetheless, the impact of certifications is most prominent when individuals think of them all alone. Direction on the most proficient method to build up your own positive confirmations can be found here. 3. Care. In regular day-to-day existence, we normally surge starting with one circumstance then onto the next, thinking at breakfast about what's coming up grinding away, and at work we plan what actually should be done at night. In the event that we are straightforward, we are infrequently really in the present time and place with our considerations. This causes pressure, which adversely affects our well-being. Care is a significant advance on the way to conquering social nervousness. Care implies being in the present time and place, actually, however intellectually too. This is definitely not a typical state for the vast majority. Large numbers of us are left with our contemplations either before, distracted with stresses, or pondering what's to come. The inclination of groundbreaking is generally joined by the expectation that sooner or later a condition of satisfaction will emerge, that there is, figuratively speaking, an objective to be reached, and afterward all will be great. However, really at that time, a careful individual, then again, focuses on the occasion, yet abstains from assessing it. We will in general assess everything forever. Being careful methods relinquishing this assessment and zeroing in on what is happening outside of our contemplations. A basic exercise for this is to focus on the breath and subsequently make distance to our considerations. The clinician and contemplation specialist Ulrich Ott from the University of Gießen portrays the beneficial outcome with the accompanying picture. I go up a mountain while contemplating and gaze down into the valley. That implies I'm presently in a place that is somewhat eliminated from regular day-to-day existence. I can peer down all in all. Subsequently, we are not, at this point, totally related to our own sentiments and contemplations. This distance takes into consideration an expanding certainty that, even the best internal shows will settle themselves on the off chance that we oversee not to follow up on the musings being referred to, says clinician Peter Malinowski of the University of Liverpool. That, thus, prompts more prominent fulfillment and delight in life over the long haul. It additionally prompts less social tension, on the grounds that the nervousness is an intellectual interaction, i.e., it's set off by the musings of the influenced individual, much the same as any remaining concerns and fears. Care can be prepared very well through reflection and certain activities and methods. Especially encouraging for social tension is the procedure of isolates care, which comes from mental examination on meta-perception. Here, the point is to economically change one's mentality toward one's considerations. 4. Steady openness to your apprehensions. The last advance for those experiencing social nervousness is to open themselves to their individual uneasiness, setting off circumstances bit by bit. This implies confronting one's apprehensions in little advances increasingly more frequently, preferably under direction. How about we take the case of an individual with a solid dread of giving introductions at work before numerous individuals. A little initial step may be to give a short introduction at home before an old buddy. Then, the individual could grow the circle of individuals, yet at the same time stay in a circumstance where there is practically nothing in question, so nothing can truly turn out badly. Furthermore, just the absolute last advance in this chain would then be to introduce before their associates or even clients. For a large number of those influenced, it is additionally useful to rehearse pointless casual conversation. The excellence of casual chit-chat is that there isn't anything to lose, yet a lot to acquire. A lovely casual banter discussion can prompt a pleasant new contact. Yet, in the event that such a discussion turns out badly, that is no issue either, so this is ideal, practice an area. Here, as well, it is prudent to bit by bit expand the degree of trouble. The initial step could be a straightforward, practically trite remark to an outsider. For instance, a decent climate today, to the individual behind you in the espresso line. Thinking pessimistically, the individual may see you somewhat bothered. Best case, a short discussion follows. On the off chance that this functions admirably, the trouble can be expanded with activities, for example, discover something you share practically speaking with an outsider, or discover something new about an individual you definitely know. Once more, you'll be fruitful just on the off chance that you practice. In regular daily existence, we frequently experience circumstances where we can make casual banter unafraid of negative outcomes if something turns out badly. Also, similarly as with any new ability we attempt to gain, certainty accompanies non-stop practice.